This one ship carries over 20,000 steel boxes across the ocean. This is a container ship, one of the longest machines ever built to move. Welcome back. Today, we're building a giant container ship from a single sheet of steel. It all starts with flat steel plates as long as a bus. First, machines blast every plate clean and coat it with primer.
A plasma torch cuts each shape. It slices thick steel like it's paper. The glowing cut edge comes out smooth, without a single rough spot.
A ship this long needs a strange round bulge on its nose.
A giant press bends thick plates into that smooth, rounded shape.
That bulb sits underwater and helps the huge ship save fuel. Every cut plate now heads to the welding hall to become giant blocks. Like most big ships, this one is built with two steel bottoms.
Welders join flat plates into the outer bottom, wide as a street.
An automated arm runs the seam. It never stops and never wanders. That empty gap is a safety space that protects the sea below. Workers weld tall ribs to the panels to make them strong and stiff.
Cranes stand the panels up and weld them into a big steel block.
These blocks form the cargo holds, the deep wells where boxes stack. One single block can weigh as much as 300 cars. And this is still just a small slice of the whole ship. Before the block goes up, workers fill it with everything inside.
Miles of pipe and cable run through the block, clamped down tight. These lines will carry power and water all through the ship. Workers add ladders and walkways so crews can move around inside.
Building all this on the ground now saves months of work later. The first block down is the keel, the backbone of the whole ship. The crane lowers it onto supports on the dock floor, inch by inch. A laser checks it's perfectly level before anyone welds a seam. Now the next huge block floats in overhead. Watch it drop into place. The two blocks meet with a gap thinner than your finger.
Welders seal the joint from inside and out. Now they're one piece.
Block by block, the flat bottom spreads across the whole dock. Whew. Then the tall sides go up, climbing higher every single day. The crane sets the round bow onto the very front of the hull. The stern closes off the back, and the long hull is nearly whole. Stand back and you can finally see it. That's a real ship. This hull is already longer than 3 football fields. Does that blow your mind? Subscribe. But right now, the hull is just a long, empty steel box.
Like the bottom, the sides are built in 2 steel layers too.
This double hull keeps the ship safe if the outside ever gets hit.
Inside, welders raise tall steel walls to split the ship into holds.
Stand in one empty hold, and it feels like a steel canyon. Deep in the stern, workers clear a space for the ship's engine. The engine room sits empty for now, with huge steel mounts waiting.
A crane lowers the huge engine down through the top of the ship.
This engine is bigger than a house and burns fuel to make power.
It settles onto steel mounts, and workers bolt it down hard.
A long steel shaft runs from the engine back to the stern. That shaft will spin the propeller and drive the whole ship forward. At the stern, workers lift one huge bronze propeller into place. Just one blade is taller than a grown man standing beside it. They press the propeller onto the shaft and lock it tight. Behind it hangs the rudder, a huge steel fin that steers the ship.
Now comes the part that makes a container ship truly special. Inside each hold, workers weld tall steel rails from top to bottom.
These rails are called cell guides, and they run in neat rows.
Each pair of rails makes a slot exactly 1 container wide.
Workers line every rail up with amazing care, perfectly straight and true. Now watch this. A crane lifts a single container high above the hold.
It drops into the rails and slides straight down like a coin in a slot.
The rails guide it into the exact right spot, every single time.
That's how thousands of boxes stack up neat and never shift at sea.
You just saw a container slide right into place. Which part surprised you? Comment below. Up top, huge steel lids called hatch covers close over each hold.
A crane lowers each cover into place, 1 hold at a time. These covers keep the sea out and give the deck boxes a floor. Then workers build tall steel frames between the rows of boxes. These lashing bridges let crews tie the tall stacks down safely at sea. Rows of power sockets go in for the containers that need cooling.
Near the back, a crane stacks the tall house where the crew lives. On top sits the bridge, where the captain steers the giant ship.
Then the tall funnel rises and crowns the back of the ship.
Unlike some ships, this one has no cranes. Its deck stays smooth. Giant cranes on shore will do all the heavy loading instead. First comes the bottom. Deep red paint covers everything below the waterline. That red paint keeps sea life from sticking to the hull.
Then sprayers coat the towering sides in one deep, even color.
Painters add white marks that show how deep the ship can safely load.
They paint the ship's name in tall letters across the bow and stern.
As the paint dries, the whole giant finally looks brand new. I'm standing on a deck that could hold thousands of trucks. Did you know this? Subscribe. The ship is finished, but it's still sitting on dry land. So they open the dock gates and let the sea rush in. Water climbs up the red hull, higher and higher every minute. Then something amazing happens. The whole giant lifts off the ground. For the first time ever, this huge ship is floating on water. Small tugboats nudge it out of the dock and into open water. Out at sea, the great engine starts, and the propeller bites the water. The huge ship pushes forward on its own for the very first time. A white wave curls off the bow as the giant picks up speed. Out here, the empty decks are ready for their first load of boxes. Soon those cell guides will be filled from the bottom to the top. And this steel giant will carry them clear across the ocean. Thousands of tons of steel gliding across the water like it's easy. And that's how a giant container ship gets made. Thanks for watching. See you next time.